somehow natural hair is not classy enough to be accepted in those spaces. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. This is Essential Patience and I am Patience. And in today's video, we are actually doing something slightly different. I'm reacting to a video that has been going viral online. Hopefully by the time this video comes out, it's still going viral. But it's a good discussion that I had to say something. When I listened to it, it just didn't sit right with me, and I thought it would be best if I give my opinion and on my stance. That's why I attack these people, and not to bring negativity to it, but rather to add to the conversation that's been going around, because I've heard some people make good points, but I think other people are missing some other aspects that I can hopefully explain more of. And if you don't know, it is the video where a lady goes viral for saying that
don't bring your natural hair to my event.
A black person is saying that do not bring the hair that grows out of your scalp to her event. But I'm not going to say anymore. Let's listen to her in her own words, and I would give my opinion on it. But before we do, remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and share this video with somebody who you think will be helpful to us. But let's listen to this lady talk about her views on natural hair.
Natural hair versus wigs or weaves. What's your take on it? Your natural hair is good for church programs. Your natural hair is good for when you want to pick your kids at school. Don't bring your natural hair to my event. I have natural hair. I'm wearing a wig. But I don't have to. I can wear my natural hair if I want to go out. If I'm going to the beach, I can wear my natural hair. It's good for the beach. If I'm going to church, it's okay. Do you get what I'm saying? If I'm going to pick my, maybe going to play with my niece, it's cool. If I'm in my house, it's okay. But why would I want to wear a nice ass dress, expensive dress, expensive heels? At least I'll do ponytail. At least. Like, but when you do natural hair, you're wearing a nice dress. I'm looking at the dress up. I just look at the face, and they do one thing. They do one thing when they pay me. So we not do that small makeup and say you're a minimalist. No, no, Chloe.
Okay, so we heard it directly from her mouth, where she talks about where natural hair is acceptable and where it is not. Just to be clear, she's talking about black women's natural hair, not the natural hair of white people, Asian people, Native Americans, Latin Americans. She's specifically talking about black women's hair, and even more to get into it, because it's not women who are mixed with black, biracial. She's talking about unambiguous black women who typically have type 4C hair or type 4 hair that is not acceptable to her events. Can you imagine where we are in our times where people still find it unacceptable for black women to wear their natural hair, the hair that grows out of their scalp, to events beyond church, beyond going to the school, anywhere that she deems low class or everyday life? She says that when she wears expensive dress, expensive heels, going to a class event, somehow natural hair is not classy enough to be accepted in those spaces. What an absolute shame. And as a person who has never worn a wig in my life, I am not anti-wig. I am not anti people not wearing their natural hair. Now, do I understand people who would rather shame their natural hair, people who find their natural hair to be a horrible thing in their life? I would never understand that. But I think we're mature enough to understand the different reasons why we are in the state where we even need a natural hair movement. Can you imagine why we need a natural hair movement, or even needed a natural hair movement as black people? No other group of people needed a natural hair movement. A movement for something that grows out of your scalp. It is amazing. It's somehow frightening how far we've come, yet not so. Let's take it back to this idea that black hair is not classy. We can go all the way back to colonization, slavery, the Jim Crow era, civil rights movement, like all the long history of discrimination against black skin, black hair, black features, all of it. Because of that history, we understand assimilation, we understand how hair discrimination has been so prevalent that they even needed a Crown Act. Literally in the year 2022, 2023, it was passed because of the discrimination. I watched many videos of bans on natural hair. I mean, long time ago, there were bans on Black women. They had to cover their hair in America. Objectively look at all these things. Because I don't wear wigs, I've never understood the fascination with preferring something that is not yours over something that God gave you. And the fact that she even talked about church, because she's a churchgoer, and we're going to watch another video later on that it's even more baffling in my opinion. But you don't think the hair that grows on your hair is good enough to go with an expensive dress. And this goes back to also the fashion industry. First, Black women were entirely excluded all over the world. But then when it did come, Black women had two categories. Typically, the ones who wore the wigs or very pin straight hair like Naomi Campbell, Tyra Banks, or then you had the women, the Black women who shaved their hair because the industry didn't have a space for the natural hair of Black women. And today we see a little bit more of that, but hardly so. It's still considered some sort of power movement to wear your natural hair. Imagine how, as a Black girl who just was growing her hair, people saw it as some sort of bold statement. It wasn't. I'm literally growing the hair that God gave me like every other group of women in the world. Me wearing my natural hair is not a protest, communication about the powers that be. It's me just being me and living my life. And I really talked a lot about this when I did my video about the rise and fall of the natural hair movement and the wigification of the natural hair movement. How people would cover their hair 11 months out of the year. They're talking about protective styling with wigs. The point that comes to it being, are you really covering your hair because of protective styles, which sometimes it's not because they take off their wigs and they've neglected their hair the entire time? Or is it just because you don't think your natural hair is good enough for the places that you want to go? The sooner we start to admit the truth, the sooner we start to get somewhere. And I do have sympathy and empathy for women who feel that way. Being Black, no matter where you are in the world, we all go through similar hair struggles. Where your hair is not represented, you don't see your hair as good enough, and you struggle to accept your own natural hair. For me, it came easier because I didn't go through a lot of like relaxing phase. I did have my hair relaxed when I was younger, but it was only for a few months and then cut off. And for most of my life, I had short hair. I had to look beyond because I wasn't so beauty focused. It still bothered me, but I overcame it easier also because I went to an HBCU, and I've always just been the type of person to do a lot of research. Also, being a Christian, it's hard for me to see something that God deemed beautiful, that God deemed wonderful in His own image. He created it for my head, to deem it somehow not good enough for me to have or for me not to represent. And whenever I talk about the struggles I go through my natural hair, some people deem it like, oh no, like you don't go through as much anymore. They don't see it as relevant because my natural hair is longer. And even though it's in a silk press now, most of the times of the year, I always wear my hair out or mini braids, mini twists. I've been modeling my natural hair growth like in the way that it actually is. But even before it became longer, when it became more acceptable, because I'll be honest with you, the longer my hair has grown, the more acceptable it has been deemed by society and by people even around me. But at the beginning, when I was doing my hair, people would say it's not done. People would insult my natural hair, say something sarcastic about it. If you don't have tougher skin, if you don't have a reason behind what you're doing in your natural hair, it can easily deter you. You can easily feel just hopeless, especially when you're doing it on your own. It is unacceptable that natural hair is deemed such an inconvenience that's not good enough for when you're at your best. But here are pictures of me with my natural hair graduating with my bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, unashamed. Here are pictures of me going to work, being in corporate America with my natural hair. Here are pictures of me going to church with my natural hair. I find it acceptable in all settings. And this is no shade to wigs or weaves, because even though I've never had it, I may wear it in the future. But there is no point that I would ever deem them more acceptable than my own natural hair. And I don't want to go into the pettiness of how people say, oh, how her hair looks, how her wig. But when she said that she's a lover of natural hair, I knew she was not telling the truth. A lover of natural hair, like what's that even supposed to mean? Sometimes natural hair is talked about this external thing. And we do that in the Black community versus any other community where natural hair is not seen as good hair, specifically talking about type 4 hair. Natural hair is seen as not a good representation for when you're at your best. Now, how her wig looks, I mean, it's very typical of a lot of African wigs. I didn't see a lot of good wigs that could be mistaken as like natural hair or real hair till I came to America. So the beauty standard in Africa when it comes to wigs is very different from that of America. In America, a lot of people are trying to camouflage it to make you believe that it's their natural hair, to being able to simulate better. With a lot of African countries, and Africa is not a monolith, so there are different beauty standards in different countries, but let's say West Africa, for example, people want you to know they're wearing a wig because it's expensive. It's seen as a status to have a wig on, and that's the whole point of her saying she wants something expensive, because natural hair is free. It's not good enough for an expensive dress and expensive heels. You need a status for people to show that you spent money. But what do I know? Hey, I've not been to West Africa in 10 years. But let's move on to the next video because I want to comment on that one as well.
Friends must not show yourself friendly. You're squeezing your face. Nobody is calling me, but this is how your face is. Friday night you're at home. Monday you're at home. Tuesday you're at home. Instead of you to be smiling, be shining your teeth anywhere you are. When your friends are hanging out, say, I'm coming. When your colleagues are going to work, say, maybe that's what my husband will be. Let me dress up and join them. Show yourself friendly, and then you will have friends. All of you will be carrying natural hair about. Who natural hair help? Okay. You better wear your wig. I be doing like this. I'll be flipping it. Go and spend that money on hair. Draw your brows. Buy lip gloss. Look good. Natural hair is not selling market. When you marry, you off your wig because you have entered. There's nothing they can do about it. But before you enter, don't be caught on fresh. Never. Package yourself well.
Okay, so that did not look like an every Sunday typical service. It looked like a singles convention for young ladies, how to be prepared for marriages or how to go about finding a partner. I didn't watch everything in terms of the whole sermon or the whole speech. I think the context is clear here that she doesn't find natural hair to be acceptable in the dating market. It worries me more because she's a woman in a church with authority. I don't know if she's a pastor. It says she was a pastor. Imagine you telling the young ladies of your church that the hair that God gave them is not suitable enough to find a partner, that it doesn't help anybody. Who has it helped? Before there were wigs, women wore their natural hair. And obviously, they continue to get married and procreate for thousands of years. Even today, there are women with natural hair who get married. And the whole thing about, well, wear your wigs now, and then when you get married, you take it off. Why would you want to attract a partner who doesn't like you for who you are? Wouldn't you want somebody who wants you for you, who wants you for your natural hair and all, the way you look naturally? And how far does this go? How far should you become something that you're not in order to attract a partner? And then we wonder why later on they'll have issues. A person who always wears their natural hair and it's not straight for 11 plus months out of the year, I'm gonna tell you this, you're gonna see it. And why would I want somebody who doesn't like me for who I am, the way I am created? It's absurd. Let's call it what it is. Absurd. And let's think beyond that, because sometimes people just look for a good husband, but they don't look for somebody who's gonna be a good father. What about your children? What does that pass down to when you have daughters? And then we wonder why you see 2, 3, 4-year-old girls with relaxed hair and with wigs and weaves on the internet. What are you going to instill in your children? That the hair that they're born with is not good enough and it must always be covered up? That your father doesn't like natural hair, so start covering up as soon as you can? And this translates with the texturism, the colorism, the featureism. People who have plastic surgeries and to look completely different, and then you have children, and your children have the features that they naturally have because plastic surgery is not genetically inherited, and somehow they start having hate towards their own children. These are the conversations we really need to start having, not just outside of the church, but inside the church as well. How to appreciate everything God gave you, natural hair and all. Luke chapter 12 verse 7 says, "Indeed, the very hairs on your head are all numbered. Don't be afraid, you are worth more than many sparrows." That's what the Bible says. The hair on your head is numbered. But then this pastor is telling you that that hair that God knows on your head is not good enough in the marriage market. At the end of the day, this is a conversation we're going to keep having over and over again because this has been happening for hundreds of years. And it's going to continue to happen. as we try to navigate our world where black features, black hair is not always accepted. Most of the time it's not accepted in its natural state. We have black hairstylists refusing to take on clients with thick natural hair. They want you to come wash, shampooed, and blow dried, and even some of them flat ironed before they will style your hair. A world where I go to the salon and I get overcharged and have the stylist make rude comments about my hair. But I choose to navigate it that way. And I wouldn't have it any other way in terms of standing proud in who I fully am. And I'm gonna do my part in always encouraging, praising black women who choose to stand in who they fully are. And there's nothing against wigs. I think that there's several different reasons why women would choose to wear wigs. There's some women who suffer from hair loss. There's some who have gone through the trauma of growing up in households where it was never deemed acceptable, where nobody taught them. I think we should grow from that and take on responsibility as adults to do better and hopefully pass down better viewpoints to the next generation. But I'm not gonna fault somebody because two things can be true at the same time. And there's a huge gray area when it comes to natural hair, wigs, relaxers. But at the end of the day, we should know that we're getting to a very dangerous territory where we are uplifting anything that doesn't grow in our hair above our natural hair. I'm struggling to find a way to conclude this video because I honestly thought it was getting better, that more people were going towards natural hair. It's sad when you have to accept your own self. I understand self-acceptance is harder than what it should be. Whether you wear wigs, weaves, added hair braids, don't put down your natural hair. Don't put down other people's natural hair to uplift another. Life goes beyond hair. But for a lot of women, it is a fundamental part of our beauty regimen. I hope there can one day be a time where we would look at our natural hair as beautiful and not something to cover up. So with that, I'm bringing this video to an end. Thank you all so much. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about what both ladies said. I agree with them. You've been discriminated against because you have natural hair. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And ring the notification bell so you will not miss any time I post a video. Thank you all so much. And I look forward to hearing from you in the comment section. Bye.